Welcome back. Did you know that hearing loss can actually be related to Alzheimer's and dementia? I had no idea that that can happen, but Ken Post is here to tell us a little bit about what is going on. Well, welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, yes.
So, but before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about some hearing loss, factors. What does that entail?
One of the things they learned, and they've been doing a lot of studies, one of the things they've learned is how much blood flow it takes in the inner ear. The cochlea needs good blood flow to hear well. Okay. So anything that affects that can affect your hearing. And that's from diabetes, high blood pressure, even lack of exercise. That you don't get as good blood flow, you don't get it, your hearing can diminish because you don't have enough blood flow to have that cochlea, the inner ear, to work properly.
Wow. I hear exercise all the time when we talk to various people. And it's true, getting your blood flow is really a good thing, and the exercising, which is interesting because you wouldn't think that your ears would have that much trouble.
Yeah, yeah. Well, your ears, your eyes, all of our important parts, they all take blood flow. So.
Okay, all right, good. Hearing and cognitive decline. So I know we talked a little bit about some of the other things that can happen, but when you say cognitive decline, what are you referring to?
In general, as we age, our brain slows down. We can't do so many things at one time. I remember being able to do multitask like crazy. It's like, no, give me a one task now, I'm pretty good. I can maybe break into that. But it's just a natural way, it's just our brain. But we can do a lot of things to keep the brain more active and keep things going. The more things we keep the brain going with, the healthier our brain stays.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do, is keep our brain healthy over the period of time so we can get to an older age and still function well.
So by having a hearing aid or hearing aids, what are some of the benefits by having a hearing aid that can contribute to development of our brain? Okay.
Well, one of the things that can happen with as we don't hear as well, we tend to lose the high frequencies. There's certain consonants, letters that have high frequencies in them. The T, S, TH, they have high frequencies in them.
Okay.
As we lose that, we have trouble distinguishing those letters.
Okay.
So we know someone's saying something because we hear all the other letters, but we don't hear certain letters that are important to know what the word is.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people say you're mumbling.
Oh,
literally, it does sound that way. As you lose that high frequency and you lose certain letters.
Yes.
It's just like someone's mumbling.
Oh, wow.
You don't get it. You know that when someone mumbles, you know they're saying something. There's no doubt in your mind.
Right.
So your brain starts to try to figure out other ways. So the brain's going to go maybe use context. You never put a cat on your head, so it must have been a hat.
Oh.
This kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that, and your brain's using your eyes. You can see when someone says a T, your lips do a certain movement. So your brain starts picking up clues from your eyes to figure out what the wording is.
Right.
And context. Well, if you can think about it, your brain's, oh, what was that word? I'm trying to figure out, well, in the meantime, the conversation is still flowing. So now your brain's working overtime trying to catch up with the conversation.
Wow, okay.
All this stuff works kind of against you because your brain's using a ton of energy.
Right.
People get exhausted after a conversation because you're using more than you need to from your eyes and just figuring out what the words are.
Right.
And it also makes it harder to remember. It's harder to take those words and put them into the memory part of your brain when your brain's working overtime trying to figure out the conversation.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that kind of work against you as you don't hear well.
Yeah.
And as you bring that up so you can hear all those things, now I got other things I can do with my brain. I can be remembering better. Our memory loss is tied in to hearing.
Right.
Now people theorized it. Now they've been spending the last 15, 20 years doing studies and proving that that is the case. It is the case that when people have normal hearing, they're looking at those aren't the people that are tending towards dementia and Alzheimer's. It's people that aren't hearing well. They're not exercising the brain well.
Right.
Another thing that wouldn't think of at all is that our brain has a part of it from the caveman days that is always listening to everything going on. Like I just heard a funny noise over there.
Okay.
The brain's trying to figure out, it hears these in the background. It goes, I know that noise. I'm not even going to bring it up to consciousness.
Right.
I know this noise. You hear something weird? What's that?
Right.
And most of those sounds are high frequency sounds that we tend to lose.
Right.
And if we're not doing that, we're not exercising that part of the brain that's protecting us. It's keeping an animal from sneaking up and taking a bite out of us.
Oh gosh.
We don't worry about anymore, right? But it was a problem, you know, many, many years ago.
Well, right, and those poor people never heard it coming. So, you know, what were they going to do? There was no hearing aids then.
Yeah.
So you kind of went into a little bit about dementia and Alzheimer's, but tell me how, you know, loss of hearing does affect those.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing studies, and they've noticed that it's more likely that you're going to go into dementia and Alzheimer's when you don't have hearing, when you don't have good hearing.
Okay.
People, they look at, okay, well, what's the likelihood if you have really good hearing of doing that? And they're looking at the numbers from their studies going, look, there's a correlation between hearing well and dementia and Alzheimer's. Right. But then the other question was, well, what about, but if you're wearing hearing aids, does that help you? Or is it somehow all tied together, and if your hearing's not good, it's not going to be that way? So they had to do more studies to say, okay, if someone has hearing aids, does that get them back into the good hearing column when it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's? They found out, yes, it does help.
Okay.
There's a slight difference in some studies, and there's no difference in some studies. So they've shown that, oh, yes, the hearing aids get you back into a better chance of avoiding those things. Okay,
well, and also sociability we talked a little bit about, because, you know, if you can hear better, then you can have a better conversation, you can be more involved, you can hear what's going on around you. Okay, so now speaking about, we've been leading up to, you know, the whole hearing thing. So show us the tiny German designed hearing aid that you have with you, which you can't see now.
With me,
you can't see it, no.
And you probably never guessed that I was wearing a hearing aid.
And look how tiny that is.
Look how tiny this is.
So tiny.
These are not custom ones. Usually you have to have custom. This has a piece that's the same for everybody, and just the end of it is set up for by the whoever's setting your hearing aids up. Is going to find the right piece that will be comfortable in your ear and keep it in the ear. Oh. So you don't have to wait. These can be dispensed first time. You sit down and we can get these on you, and you walk out with a. With better hearing. So now because it's not custom, does that make it a little more affordable? Or are they still because of the technology? You're paying for the technology inside. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. And there are different levels of these. Sure. So they're more affordable. This is the second generation of these. So the first generation comes down in price some. Okay. So we do have more of a spectrum. When they first came out, yes, it was only high end. Right. Now we're going from middle to high end with these. Well, right, and we were talking before the segment a little bit about how hearing aids can become more affordable, and as technology improves, you know, like we were talking about phones, when they come out with the iPhone 10, you know, the iPhone 6 and 7 and 8 become less expensive. Right. And that's the same thing with the hearing aids, right? Exactly the same thing. As the high end, they find out some other great bell and whistle everybody wants. Right. Well, the next one comes down in price. So what's great is the last 3-4 years, hearing aids have done an incredible amount of improvement. Right. I mean, amazing. So now you find out if you buy a hearing aid that was, say, made 3 years ago, well, you save a lot more money. You may save $2,000-3,000 on that, on a pair, but you're getting that technology, that huge improvement that's been going on is now trickling down into the lower prices. Good. Well, that's good for people who are bargain shoppers and want to hear better. Well, thank you so much. It was very nice of you to share that information. So now put that back in so you can hear. Get that back in. All right. And if you want more information, you can always call the Hearing Remedy at 949-340-8438.